Could Hollywood's golden couple be guarding a secret more unsettling than any on-screen drama? For years, fans have adored Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds for their effortless charm and playful banter, celebrating them as the epitome of relationship goals. Whether they're roasting each other on social media or turning heads on the red carpet, their public image has been all about bright smiles and loving gazes. Lately, though, whispers of something darker have been making the rounds. Grumblings about illicit behind-the-scenes tactics, questionable business dealings, and potentially millions of dollars changing hands under the table. The stories range from minor creative quarrels to full-scale allegations of fraudulent schemes that may have lined their pockets at the expense of studios, collaborators, and even devoted fans. So, what's really happening behind those heartwarming Instagram captions and talk show quips? Let's dive into the swirling rumors, look at the timeline of events, and see how a series of bold, and some would say devious, moves might have shaped the impressive empires they appear to control. From the outside, it's easy to assume that Blake and Ryan simply lucked out by marrying each other and doubling their star power. Both launched successful careers in their own right. Ryan charmed the world with comedic roles and eventually shot into the stratosphere with his portrayal of the wisecracking Merc with a mouth, while Blake built a loyal fan base from her breakthrough in a teen drama to more mature, critically lauded roles. But if you look closer, you'll find claims that this power couple's trajectory wasn't just the result of natural talent or public goodwill. Instead, insiders claim that precisely orchestrated stunts, hidden alliances, and borderline unethical tactics have fueled their rise, and that all the glitz and glam might be covering up a scheme that's more cunning than anyone imagined. At the center of these allegations is a set of business decisions that seemed ordinary at first. After all, plenty of celebrities invest in side ventures, sign endorsement deals, or produce films and TV projects. In the case of Ryan Reynolds, fans saw him evolve from simply starring in blockbusters to becoming an entrepreneur with interests in gin, telecom, and marketing. His brand, Maximum Effort, is well known for crafting memorable advertising campaigns, often featuring his signature sense of humor. Blake Lively, too, ventured beyond acting, diving into lifestyle brands, beverage companies, and even creative roles behind the camera. However, some observers argue that these expansions weren't done in straightforward, above-board ways. Instead, various sources have started to allege that certain behind-the-scenes deals either exploited studio partners or strong-armed smaller creators into making concessions that heavily favored the couple. One of the loudest whispers surrounds Ryan Reynolds' approach to Deadpool, the iconic Marvel character he portrayed with sardonic wit and impeccable comedic timing. Initially, Ryan's journey to get a standalone Deadpool movie produced seemed heroic. He championed the idea for years, pushing studios to give an R-rated anti-hero a fighting chance. Fans were thrilled to see him advocate for a project that many deemed too edgy for mainstream tastes. Then came the suspicious leak of early test footage in 2014. While Ryan danced around the issue in interviews, calling it a happy accident, and praising fans for pressuring 20th Century Fox into making the movie, industry insiders had a different take. Some began calling it a deliberate leak orchestrated to corner the studio into greenlighting the film. That single move, they say, potentially saved the project from endless limbo and catapulted Ryan into greater creative control. If it was an intentional leak, it skirted ethical lines. While it got fans excited, it also bypassed formal agreements, revealing intellectual property that technically wasn't his to share. Despite the moral questions, the gamble paid off handsomely. Deadpool smashed box office records, netting Ryan millions and solidifying his reputation as a savvy, irreverent star who fights for the fans. As time went on, more rumors emerged that his maneuvers behind the scenes were anything but accidental. While the allegations swirl, the couple themselves stay tight-lipped about the claims. They continue to post cheerful updates about their family, philanthropic causes, and new ventures. This strategy, remaining silent on controversies while doubling down on public good humor, isn't unique to them. It's practically a Hollywood tradition. Some fans feel disappointed that the couple hasn't addressed any of the swirling rumors head-on, longing for clarity or reassurance that the stories lack basis in fact. Others believe their silence is strategic, allowing them to avoid saying anything that could be used against them in potential legal battles or media blowouts. A flat denial might prompt deeper scrutiny. Ignoring the chatter allows it to fester, yes, but also keeps them from handing out incriminating sound bites. Meanwhile, the rumor mill doesn't seem to be slowing down. Several blogs, gossip channels, and online commentators have latched onto the idea of a fraudulent Hollywood scheme, dissecting every subtle remark the couple makes in interviews. Some point to the body language in photos with directors, analyzing frames for signs of tension or forced smiles. Others scrutinize corporate filings or leaked emails, hoping to find the smoking gun that proves or disproves these startling claims. So far, no direct evidence has surfaced in the public domain that indisputably confirms wrongdoing. But the compilation of smaller anecdotes and alleged first-hand accounts has formed a tapestry that, to many observers, feels impossible to dismiss as mere coincidence. Even if the truth lies somewhere in between, maybe they used some ethically murky tactics but didn't outright commit any major crimes, the allegations have overshadowed the perfect couple narrative that once defined them. What about the potential legal fallout? If these allegations gain further traction, there's a chance for lawsuits that go beyond civil disputes. For instance, if an entity like a major film studio or a smaller production house decided to press charges over leaked intellectual property, a drawn-out legal battle could ensue. So far, it seems studios have either benefited too much from the eventual box office returns or concluded that litigation would cause more harm than good. When big money is on the line, lawsuits are risky. There's always a chance they could escalate, dragging private negotiations and scandalous details into the public record. And in Hollywood, controlling the narrative is half the battle. For now, it appears that many stakeholders prefer handling disputes behind closed doors, quietly settling issues with confidential agreements, rather than risking a tabloid frenzy. Of course, the ultimate question remains: does any of this truly matter to everyday fans? For many, it might not. People look to Blake and Ryan for entertainment, humor, and a sense of escapism from their own daily challenges. As long as they deliver fun movies or witty advertisements, some viewers may not care whether they used behind-the-scenes influence to get there. The public has a track record of forgiving celebrities for all sorts of missteps, provided they deliver the goods on screen and maintain a certain level of approachability. Critics, however, argue that turning a blind eye to manipulative or fraudulent behavior sets a troubling precedent. If stars can run circles around industry protocols without repercussions, it might encourage others to follow suit. And that, they say, could degrade the film business from a collaborative art form into a mere playground for the cunning few. Fans who do care about the ethical dimension might feel conflicted. Do they keep supporting the couple's projects? Or do they boycott and protest? Some have taken to social media to voice their disillusionment, insisting that the industry must hold powerful figures accountable. Still, these voices can be drowned out by the roar of marketing campaigns, red carpet appearances, and the general star-struck fascination that surrounds big-name actors. This dissonance speaks to a larger cultural issue: the tension between our collective admiration for celebrity and our quiet acknowledgement that many success stories may have skeletons in the closet. Naturally, supporters of Blake and Ryan dismiss these tales as nothing more than conspiratorial rumor-mongering. They remind everyone of the philanthropic gestures these two often make, from charitable donations to heartfelt social media campaigns championing various causes. They point to Ryan's comedic brand, saying that someone so good-natured, who jokes about fatherhood and pokes fun at himself online, couldn't possibly be orchestrating grand financial schemes behind the curtain. Blake's defenders likewise argue that she's simply a dedicated performer who invests herself deeply in every role, maybe pushing boundaries to ensure the final product meets her standards of quality. Yet this defense doesn't quiet the skeptics. From their standpoint, a polished public persona doesn't negate the possibility of private power plays. The veneer of wry humor or maternal devotion doesn't provide proof that behind-the-scenes dealings remain squeaky clean. In fact, some cynics argue that the more squeaky clean the image, the more there could be to hide. Industry responses vary, but you'll hear an undercurrent of fear in certain circles. Hollywood can be a small town, socially speaking, and crossing powerful stars might mean burning bridges that are hard to rebuild. Some producers or directors may be reluctant to voice concerns publicly, preferring to keep negotiations hush-hush to avoid damaging their own reputations or losing future collaborations. A-listers like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds can make or break a film's box office prospects, One well-placed endorsement on social media can translate into millions of eyeballs, and one awkward interview can torpedo months of marketing efforts. This imbalance of power might explain why, even when allegations arise, they often remain vague or unnamed. Critics suspect that the threat of lawsuits, tarnished reputations, and industry blacklisting keeps potential whistleblowers silent. For every rumor that bubbles to the surface, there might be a dozen more that never see the light of day. Now, how did the notion of them stealing millions come about specifically? According to some commentators, it's not as if they physically transferred funds from a studio's account into their own. Instead, the phrase refers to the cumulative effect of funneling profits and controlling creative decisions so thoroughly that they end up reaping windfalls that would normally be split among a broader group of contributors. Imagine a scenario where, by leaking test footage, you effectively force a studio to rush a project into production. You then negotiate a favorable contract that grants you an executive producer credit and a hefty percentage of the box office. By the time the film becomes a hit, you're collecting an outsized portion of the revenue. Meanwhile, other stakeholders, writers, smaller producers, crew members, might see their shares reduced or compromised. Multiply that effect by subsequent movies and marketing ventures, and you get a sense of how these alleged millions might be accumulating. If you add Blake's rumored power moves into the mix, some say you have a perfect storm. Two celebrities controlling entire pipelines of a project, from conception to release, shaping marketing narratives through maximum effort, and ensuring they remain front and center in the final product. When you consider that It Ends With Us has a massive built-in fan base from the original novel, the potential earnings from a well-managed adaptation are astronomical. Yet if the adaptation process is overshadowed by frantic rewrites, editor standoffs, and hush-hush screenings that circumvent original agreements, you begin to see how the simple role of leading actor can morph into a behind-the-scenes puppet master, tugging on multiple threads at once. And, as some critics assert, every time a puppet master maneuvers in the shadows, there's a risk they're reaping financial and creative rewards that far exceed the standard star contract. Then there's Blake Lively's recent drama with the film adaptation of a best-selling novel, It Ends With Us. Billed as a romantic story with darker themes lurking beneath, the movie generated massive buzz thanks to the star power of its cast. Yet the production soon found itself bogged down in controversy, with allegations surfacing that Blake demanded extensive involvement in post-production decisions typically reserved for directors and producers. Some claim she leveraged her stardom and potential refusal to promote the movie unless she got her way in the editing suite. This aligns eerily with the pattern some people have described about her husband's approach. First, push for the project's creation. Then, once in the thick of production, wrest creative authority from the original team. Rumors say that the friction escalated to the point of near breakdown, with threats and ultimatums overshadowing the project's creative goals. The suspicion is that she aimed to reshape the film into something that would align more closely with her personal brand, and possibly funnel profits or creative rights back into ventures she co-owned. In both these scenarios, Ryan's Deadpool escapade and Blake's alleged It Ends With Us takeover, the common thread is a strategic use of star power. Studios need big names to sell tickets and generate hype, making them susceptible to pressure when those A-listers start making demands. If a studio resists, the star might threaten to walk away or sabotage the promotional campaign, forcing executives into a corner. On the surface, this might not sound like a fraudulent scheme, but gossip circles are abuzz with claims that when these tactics cross certain legal boundaries, such as leaking proprietary materials, violating contracts, or manipulating budgets, they become more than simple strong-arm negotiating. They potentially transform into massive financial manipulations that funnel revenue into the couple's pockets. The question is whether these supposed tactics have crossed the line into illegal territory. Some industry watchers say yes, insisting that these deals are so one-sided that they could be considered a form of fraud. The murmurings don't stop there. Additional allegations point to how the couple's combined clout in Hollywood could have allowed them to quietly secure back-end deals, production credits, or distribution agreements that lesser-known talents would never land. In Tinseltown, back-end deals are gold mines, guaranteeing talent a percentage of profits in exchange for a lower upfront salary. If you're an actor with enough influence to nudge a studio into granting you an executive producer credit, you effectively tap into multiple revenue streams. For someone with the star wattage of Ryan or Blake, these percentages can translate into staggering sums of money. It's no small wonder then that rumors of stealing millions began floating around. Critics argue that pushing smaller partners out of the way, inserting themselves into a project's most lucrative aspects, and then using manipulative marketing campaigns might amount to modern-day Hollywood piracy, while fans remain in the dark, believing these are simply business-savvy celebrities. One example often cited involves the synergy between Ryan's marketing company, Maximum Effort, and Blake's creative input. Suppose they secure a gig to market a film they're also starring in. The potential for double-dipping arises because they can charge the production for marketing services while also taking a cut from the box office or streaming revenues. If they then enforce changes that make the project more on-brand for them, critics argue they're stacking the deck in their own favor. It's an ingenious, if morally dubious, way to ensure the money keeps rolling in. Reports also mention that smaller production companies have quietly settled disputes after claiming they were coerced into deals favoring the couple's terms. Though concrete details on these settlements remain scarce, often sealed by non-disclosure agreements, the consistent drip of similar stories has fueled speculation that a much larger pattern is at play. Whether Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are cunning masterminds or simply adept navigators of Hollywood's shifting terrain remains to be seen. Without concrete evidence or legal verdicts, most of the talk remains speculative, albeit highly detailed speculation that keeps gathering more anecdotes. Yet the story itself is gripping, combining elements of romance, business intrigue, and creative control. It shows how two individuals who appear perfectly aligned in the public eye might be equally matched behind the scenes, supporting each other in ways that maximize both their brand and their bank accounts. If they did manage to manipulate entire studios and production teams, it reflects a level of ambition and savvy that's both fascinating and unsettling. Right now, viewers, fans, and industry insiders await a clarifying moment when more light is shed on these controversies. Perhaps a lawsuit or a high-profile whistleblower will spill the proverbial beans. Or maybe the couple will decide to respond in a detailed interview, weaving their own narrative to counter these claims. Until then, the rumor mill keeps spinning, and each new project Blake and Ryan undertake is scrutinized for hints of hidden agendas. Will the next blockbuster they star in, or the next brand they launch, come with more of the same stories? Will the alleged pattern of controlling leaks, hidden finances, and overshadowed collaborators keep repeating? For those enthralled by scandal, it's an ongoing drama with no clear finale in sight. By the end of this tale, the core takeaway is that Hollywood's veneer of glitz can mask a tangled web of deals and deceptions. If even half the rumors surrounding Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds hold a grain of truth, then their squeaky clean charm might be the biggest performance of all. But it's also possible that these allegations are just an echo chamber of speculation, built on misinterpretations and envy over their success. It's up to each viewer to decide where they stand, whether they see a brilliant duo making the most of their fame or a cunning pair orchestrating elaborate schemes for personal gain. As the story continues to evolve, the couple's legacy might hinge on how they respond and whether more incendiary information surfaces. For now, the spotlight remains on the tension between the wholesome image they present to the public and the unsettling claims that paint them as hidden puppet masters. And while fans may feel torn between admiration and suspicion, there's no denying that the saga itself is compelling. It's a reminder that in a world driven by star power, not everything is as it seems. Each carefully composed Instagram post and witty tweet might be part of a broader narrative, a puzzle whose pieces include rumors of leaks, controlling the editing suite, rumored strong-arm tactics, and endless speculation about money flowing in from every direction. Whether you find them innocent or guilty, you can't deny that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have crafted a fascinating story, one that grows more intense every time a new rumor or accusation appears. And so, we're left to wonder if the final credits of this so-called Hollywood scheme will ever roll. Will any official entity step in to clarify the truth? Or will the couple continue forging ahead, racking up blockbusters and business wins while chatter about stealing millions remains just that, chatter? Perhaps the biggest twist is still waiting to be revealed, one that could turn everything we think we know upside down. Until then, fans follow every development with rapt attention, while critics watch closely for cracks in the facade. In the glittering world of movies and media, sometimes reality can be stranger than the scripts. And if the allegations are indeed correct, then the comedic one-liners, designer gowns, and philanthropic gestures might have been the perfect camouflage all along.